Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world.
The God of Ojinika caught you today. Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
I'm fine.
Excellent. Good morning, Bimbai, my favorite Nigerian wife. You know I can't help myself. Good morning, Rufai.
Morning.
Yeah, perfect.
So, Ojinika, you have a personal God.
Absolutely.
You said the God of Ojinika.
God of Ojinika.
Don't start sounding like Iyesom Wike.
I don't know what that means, but whatever it means, I have a God.
Worship the universal God.
I do worship the
God
who never fails.
I have a God who never fails. I have a God.
I love singing. Well, all right. Well, good morning to you viewers. Let's begin what's trending by taking reactions to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approval of the creation of a new ministry for livestock development. The president made the announcement on Tuesday as he inaugurated the Renewed Hope Livestock Reform Implementation Committee at the State House in Abuja and announced himself as the chairman. The move, he said, is to stop the recurring clashes between herders and farmers, which has resulted in the destruction of lives and property across the country.
I'm here before you to inaugurate the Committee for the Implementation of Livestock Reform in our beloved country. I assume the chairmanship of the committee as the president and appoint Professor Tari Jaga as my deputy or co-chair, and as Dr. Baduji, we say thank you, just remove yourself, so that any taint of politics in this environment will be erased completely. This is not about politics. This is about opportunity. This is about our nation.
All right, Rufai, Dr. Abati, Bimbai, I know this was your first talk, but of course Nigerians have reacted. And I think while I was going through social media, I was seeing a lot of rejection. But let me take some tweets. This is from Lord Charles, who wrote, "What is the justification or urgency behind this creation of a ministry for livestock development? What's so important that a directorate under the Ministry of Agriculture can't handle?" Well, Okpeyemi wrote, "Ministry of Livestock is important. Livestock is the bedrock for more than 10 million SMEs and employs more than 20 million Nigerians across its entire value chain. A dedicated livestock ministry is crucial for this government as it ensures food security, manages livestock production for stable food supply and byproducts, eggs and milk. 3. Boost economy, livestock sector, contributes significantly to GDP and creates jobs. Promotes sustainable development, oversees responsible livestock practices, minimizes environmental impact, supports livelihoods. Crucial for many farmers, especially in rural areas. I am a livestock farmer and I need government to provide the infrastructure and access to pivot." That's a farmer, Rufai. I know you said you disagree, but Obiari also tweeted. He wrote, "The honest step President Tinubu and co. must take in their economic stabilization plan is to get the governors to ban open grazing, enforce it, and create 2,500 clusters of agro-pastoral centers governing 1.5 million hectares of land in the north. 1. We cannot ensure food security under this kind of destructive atmosphere and bring a dodge. 2. These are people's farms and sweat being brazenly destroyed. 3. There is no reason under the earth for us to continue to coddle and accommodate this level of wickedness." Well, he posted a video along with this tweet. Let's take a listen to that video.
What we have is not farmers' herders clash. What we have is criminal, terrorist invasion of farmland by terrorists and bandits masquerading as herdsmen. Anyway, that is by the way. Mr. President, we don't need Ministry of Livestock Development. We don't need any convoluted arrangement that panders to political correctness to fix this land. Proverbs 25 verse 5 says, if you surround a king with wicked men, no matter the good intention, the king will rule wickedly. But if you surround the king with men who are wise like Joseph, men who are wise and honest like Shadrach, Daniel, Meshach, and Abednego, the king will rule well, even if his intentions are not good. Let us stop this political correctness. Ban open grazing. By the reason of the Land Use Act, the governors control the land. Get them to ban open grazing and enforce it. There is no place in the wholesale world where people are allowed to graze cows, sheep, goats, openly destroying crops of farmers. May God help you. May God help Nigeria. May God help each and every one of us in Jesus' name.
And may God, the God of OjyOkpe, help Nigerians. I know that you said help. Can you allow me? No, not really. But this is a serious topic. I know that you said that you disagree with the second tweeted user. I'd like for you to just quickly elaborate on
for
that.
For that farmer, what it will just cause is more bureaucracy.
Yes.
He should ask himself, the agricultural ministry has been created for so many years. How has they impacted his life as a farmer? Nothing. We don't even have the money for it. It's not in this budget. That's why President Tinubu said they will have to go and look for, maybe in the supplementary budget, they will add to bureaucracy. This is what they should do. At first, we must understand that for you to have proper meat production, you must practice animal husbandry in an intensive to semi-intensive method. All the cattle they take from the north to the south even reduces the quality of meat. There's something called meat science. The quality of meats. Have you ever wondered why the Wagyu cow in Japan costs so much? Because of the intense nature of agriculture. So if you want to do proper agriculture and you are doing nomadic agriculture, you are not ready. This is not proper agriculture. Proper agriculture for meat production is intensive and semi-intensive, where you have your veterinary care and you can only do this on the ranch. You have your veterinary care, you have all your doctors in place and all of that. That's number one. Secondly, there are many value chains to make money. I did a lot of work on semen. The sale of semen alone can be used to make a lot of money. Also, the milk value chain. Are you breeding foreign breeds? No Nigerian breeds can produce as much milk as Holstein-Friesian. How are you bringing that into place? The Ministry of Agriculture should be able to set up a pathway and do it effectively and increase extension workers to be able to sensitize these farmers on how to go. Not having a Ministry of Livestock that will not do anything, that will just be another government bureaucracy. So please, we are deceiving ourselves. That farmer said he needs infrastructure. Yes, to be able to move food from a farm to, what's it called? Part of the infrastructure too for farming also needs to be rail.
Yeah.
Oji, at a point in this country in the 60s, the likes of UAC and other food companies used to transport live cow on rail lines from the north to the south to come and slaughter an abattoirs here. We had proper effective meat system, but all of that is dead. So part of the thing should also be revitalizing the rail line so that they can also carry agricultural produce so that the food can be cheaper. So there are many things we can do, not Ministry of Livestock. All right, the money for you is to set up a new bureaucracy. Why don't you put, and this farmer header crisis is political. Don't let them deceive you. It's not Ministry of Livestock that will solve it.
It's
the
terrorism,
day
really.
Nigeria gets a leader that has political will to solve the problem will solve.
Well said.
The problem is that we don't have leaders over the years that have the political will. They are afraid of election, re-election. They don't want to offend people in some part of the country. They don't want to offend people of some religion. So they are allowing some of these people to use farmer header crisis to appropriate land onto themselves and push people out of their indigenous communities.
Unfortunately.
The day we have a leader that is ready, the country will move. See, Oji, Nigeria is a great country, the greatest country on earth. The day we have a good leader, this country will rise up. It doesn't have a leader yet.
Dr. Abati, I know you
Great
want to
leader
speak,
yet.
but also just add in the fact that, there's that call for open grazing, which has always been in the front burner about governors banning open
I know
grazing.
the story.
And I heard you earlier talking about other people asking for...
I just wanted to add to what I said earlier during the headlines. Now, what is the background to this? Some Nigerians are insisting that open grazing is a right of certain Nigerians. They are saying that this country used to have grazing rights and reserves. Now, I think that, this issue that has been on the table since is what President Tinubu is responding to. President Tinubu, I said earlier on, should not respond to blackmail. No law should be made in this country to serve the interests of persons or a particular group, number one. That would be a prescription for chaos if we go in that direction. Number two is that the people who are blackmailing President Tinubu, they have brought up this open grazing, they have brought up Samoa Agreement, they have brought up political appointments. So the president is probably under pressure. The president should be reminded that in 1969, there was a ruling by Justice Adewale Thompson on the subject of open grazing at the Abeokuta Division of the High Court, AB 28/26. That was the citation for that case, where Justice Thompson ruled that open grazing cannot be allowed. You cannot say people should go and fence round. So they are talking about grazing reserves. They will have issues with land. They will have issues with grazing. Now, since it's going to be a ministry of livestock, and Tinubu says they have a livestock transformation plan, I said earlier on, are they going to also allow pig grease in all parts of Nigeria? People who want to produce pork meat. The people of South who want to sell dog meat, are they, this grazing livestock ministry, is it also going to accommodate them? Because you cannot set up a whole ministry to serve the interests of just one group. People who want to graze their pigs should be allowed. People who want to carry their 404, their dogs, all over Nigeria should be allowed. So this is the contradiction we're going to run into. And I hope it also covers poultry. Because sometimes the definition of livestock does not sometimes cover poultry or fisheries. The people of Niger Delta, the people from your area,
from my area,
they may want to sell fish too. They should be allowed.
Dr. Bati, I heard your brilliant submission this morning on this, but my own issue is that why isn't this whole committee set up within the agricultural ministry?
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, I believe all points have been said, and you want to move on very quickly. The one thing we haven't said is that after the debate in the Senate, the Senate agreed that there will be a national summit on this issue.
Yes.
So not only are we dedicating a ministry to it, there's also a national summit on herder-farmer crisis that's coming up. We're dedicating a lot of attention and funds and resources. Yes, it's an economic problem. It's also a security issue, absolutely. Yes. However, the solution lies there in the legislature. Well, this can be solved quite easily.
I believe that the National Security Advisor also would oversee the committee. I mean, I think they can always set up a committee within the agricultural ministry. Well said, guys. I want to come to you on this Samoa story because I know that this is a story that you have not discussed so far. We'll take another story. Well, 88 members of the House of Representatives have filed a motion of urgent national importance asking the federal government to suspend the implementation of the Samoa Agreement until all controversial clauses in the agreement are addressed and spelt out. The federal government have come under fire since the signing of the agreement, with many Nigerians expressing concern on sections of the agreement they fear may promote LGBTQ rights, which is contrary to Nigeria's anti-same-sex marriages and gay relationship laws enacted in 2014. Well, on Tuesday, a member of the House of Representatives, Aliyu Madaki, drew attention to Article 2.5 of the Samoa Agreement, which highlights gender equality and described it as a Trojan horse, which could violate the morals of the country.
Article 2.5 states that all parties systematically promote a gender perspective and ensure that gender equality is mainstream across all countries. Also worried that the phrase gender equality, as reported, is a Trojan horse for deceptively bringing in all sorts of immorality to our country.
Well, this was a huge debate yesterday. Well, other members of the House of Representatives for and against the agreement also debated on the floor. Let's take a look.
We are Africans. We are not Westerners. We have our laws. We have our way of life. We have our way of doing things. In my own right, I represent over 1.something million people from Aba. And I have been told that this particular human rights clause happens to be reprehensible, abominable, and we do not intend to stand for it. Do I speak the minds of my people here?
Mr. Speaker, agreement upon agreement has been signed by Nigeria in order to improve the Nigerian economy. But Mr. Speaker, everybody knows that instead for the economy to progress, it's now retrogressing like a wildfire. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we urge and we tell everybody, no matter how much money Nigeria is going to get from this thing, The handlers of the current economy could not fix the economy. Therefore, this should be rejected in totality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
3 ministers have come out, including information, budget, and planning, in public to say there was nothing like that in the agreement. Go and Google your media. You will see the agreement, you will see it there. That it was never mentioned, it was never discussed. There is nothing like lesbian rights or gay rights. It is about human rights, environmental protection, and trade agreements.
Well, the House also mandated relevant authorities, to investigate this controversial bill. They are seeking for it to be suspended. You know that the Nigerian Bar Association has backed the Samoa Agreement, signed by the federal government, stating that the association would have advised the government to reject the agreement if it contained LGBTQ provisions. The NBA said that it was one of the stakeholders invited by the federal government to review the agreement before it was signed, adding that the Samoa Agreement recognizes Nigeria's same-sex marriage prohibition law and the supremacy of the 1999 Constitution, therefore does not in any way undermine the sovereignty of Nigeria. Over to you.
Yeah, the contention here is quite clear. This is an issue of interpretation. Because when you look at the words gender and the term human rights, those words have become dynamic terms on the global scene, right? So we have our own, every country has its own constitution that regards gender and human rights as different things. Yes. So for example, in the United States, they've now said you can be gender X when you're born, your parents don't have to assign you as a gender or a sex. There was also a debate about gender and sex. But however, this one is about gender. So at the end of the day, Dr. Abati will correct me, but legally you cannot enter into an agreement that goes against your constitution. So your constitution is supreme. So the interpretation of gender and human rights falls as per our own laws. So I understand where the debate is coming from because, of course, those definitions have become fluid, gender and human rights. Absolutely. We even had that debate because we looked at the agreement. We looked for LGBTQ in express terms and it doesn't exist. But it's interpretation of what you consider to be when people refer to gender, which in our climb, when we discuss gender, we're talking about making sure there's a balance between male and female representation and so forth. So I believe that's the bone of contention.
Well, the last representative that spoke did highlight the fact that, two ministers have discussed this, which we have discussed as well. NBA has said that they have backed this agreement because they read through the actual agreement, the actual document that the federal government signed, which also states that any issues in that Samoa Agreement will be invalid if it goes against our sovereignty. Let me just read that Article 2.5 now, which is the bone of contention. It says, the parties shall systematically promote a gender perspective and ensure that gender equality is mainstreamed across all policies. Rufai, we don't have time, but
real quickly, on this, I pivot towards Dr. Abati has been saying, please, President Tinubu, I disagree with you on many things. But on this, I support you.
Okay.
And let's be realistic. Nobody should push you in such a way because of their own selfish advantage.
All right.
The truth has to be said. Yesterday, and I deliberately wanted to say this, there was a back page even on the Daily Trust that first started this pushing of this Samoa thing, talking about the poor reporting, the poor unprofessional reporting, and this, can I use the word, hyped up dog whistle of some sort.
All right.
Even on the Daily Trust newspaper, you can go and read the back page of that Daily Trust newspaper. So let's be realistic on this. If President Tinubu has not done, I will tell you. Okay. But on this, I disagree with you. But on this, no. Let's not use to push it for all sorts of advantage. And I pivot to what Dr. Abati has been saying before in the past.
All right.
Because
the
snake has a hand in this.
The reps also have a right to, advocate for what they believe their constituents are saying. Well, in Kano State, the state governor, Abba Yusuf, has directed the state Hisba board to crack down on groups suspected to be promoting and advocating for LGBTQ rights in the state. The governor gave the directive amid rising tension over activities of a group known as Women Initiative for Sustainable Empowerment and Equality, who are said to be promoting same-sex marriage in the state. Well, according to the state's commissioner for information, their activities are in complete breach of the state's moral standards and a violation of the Sharia. Well, meanwhile, an official of the Kano State Hisbah Board, Idris Ahmed Gama, who's a medical officer with the board, was arrested on Monday for condemning the arrest of some LGBTQ members. Gama has denied being a member of the LGBT community, saying that he was only invited to a workshop by the rights group, that is the Women Initiative for Sustainable Empowerment and Equality. Well, here is a video clip if we have that. What he said at the workshop really quickly.
Getting closer to LGBTQ persons. So I later realized that there are people like me and they are human like me. So, but as of this time around, I feel I'm dealing with my sisters and I'm dealing with my brothers. So that is it. We are all human. I think you understand. So, and we need equal treatment.
Well, all right, like we've said, this is a serious topic. I mean, within all communities, there are topics coming up on this LGBTQ. This gentleman has appealed for leniency, and we'll see more of this as the story unfolds. We'll take our final story then. Under entertainment, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday honored his late mother during the presentation of a stage production titled Abibatu Mogaji, the play, held in her honor at the State House in Abuja. The president's mother, who passed away on June 15, 2013, at the age of 96, left behind a remarkable legacy of service to family, community, the underprivileged, and the nation. The president said he inherited his resilience, determination, and discipline from his mother, who was tough and determined. Well, at the presentation, the president observed that the entertainment industry deserves more attention and recognition as it rekindles history and equips the younger generation with the knowledge of past events.
I say thank you. We will invest in Nigerian culture and art for the education of our children and for the benefit of mankind and all of you. I thank you for sparing your evening to celebrate my mother, a great woman. Thank you.
Congratulations. The president also promised to prioritize investment in Nigeria arts and culture, saying that it is crucial for educating Nigerian children and in benefiting the country. Amazing gesture. But I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.